Hey everybody, welcome back to an all-new episode of 10 to Life with me, Annie Elise. Now, before we dive into today's story, I do have some exciting news that I want to share with you. And that is that 10 to Life is officially launching as a podcast. Come October 7th, you will be able to follow along and listen to every new episode of 10 to Life right from your favorite podcast app. So whether you're driving, whether you're out working out, walking, wherever you're at, you can listen via podcast. And I promise you're going to want to make sure that you're following the show wherever you listen, because we have got some wild cases coming up that you are not going to want to miss as soon as they drop. So take a quick second, search 10 to Life on whatever podcast app you use, hit the follow button, and that way you will not miss it. And speaking of cases, again, that you won't want to miss, today's story is one that will absolutely stay with you, and we need to talk about it. Now, this one is not for the faint of heart. It is gruesome, it is disturbing, and the woman at the center of all of it, she doesn't even flinch. Not once. Now, when I first stumbled across this case, it was actually the interrogation and interview footage that caught my attention. I didn't even know the details of the case. Then, once I learned the details after doing a lot of research and diving into it, it's just unhinged, diabolical, all the words you could possibly think of. Now, if you've never heard the name Angela Simpson, consider yourself lucky, because this is one of the most horrifying cases and reactions involved in a case that I think I've ever come across. And I want you to be prepared to have her name just seared into your brain, because once you hear what she did and how she talks about it, you won't forget it. All right, guys, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and let's jump right in. This story starts in Phoenix, Arizona, back in August of 2009. A man named Terry Neely, just 46 years old, was reported missing. And Terry wasn't someone that the world usually noticed. I don't mean that in a mean way. I just mean he wasn't famous, he wasn't rich, he wasn't powerful. He lived a quiet life. Actually, he lived in an assisted care facility, and he spent his days in a motorized wheelchair, just getting around as best as he could. Those who did know him, though, described him as gentle, largely independent, despite his challenges. He had some minor drug offenses in his past, things like possession charges, minor things like that. Nothing that painted him as this dangerous person or even problematic, but kind of just this unassuming person that wasn't on everybody's radar. He was well known around his neighborhood, but not because he ever caused any trouble. I mean, he was friendly. He would go out and talk to people. He would just roll his motorized wheelchair up and down the nearby streets, stopping and chatting with strangers, with locals, just trying to be friendly, trying to make connections. So on the evening of August 2nd, 2009, Terry left his assisted care facility. Surveillance footage showed him leaving alone around 8 p.m. And no one thought much of it at first. I mean, he often left for short trips, but this time he didn't come back. 3 days passed. Then, Phoenix firefighters responded to a seemingly minor call, a trash can fire behind a neighborhood church. Fires like that happen sometimes, and no one thought twice about it. However, as the flames started dying down and the firefighters approached this, smoldering garbage can, they discovered something straight out of a nightmare. Inside that trash can was a human body burned almost beyond recognition. Now, at first, no one knew who it was. The body was so badly burned, and both legs had been severed. One arm was also missing, and the teeth, they had been forcibly removed, making dental identification nearly impossible. In fact, the body had been intentionally mutilated to prevent any sort of identification. However, the killer did miss something. There were partial fingerprints that survived the fire, and investigators were able to piece together just enough fragments to identify the victim. And sure enough, it was Terry Neely. But learning who it was didn't solve the case. It only raised new questions, horrifying new questions. When the medical examiner examined Terry's body, what they found was just pure horror. This wasn't just a murder. This wasn't a robbery gone wrong or a sudden act of rage or violence. This was torture. Prolonged, methodical, deliberate. Terry had been stabbed more than 50 times. His throat had been cut. A 3-inch nail had been hammered directly into his skull. His teeth had been literally ripped out from his mouth, likely using pliers. His arms and legs had been dismembered, some completely, some partially, some just hanging off. And the most chilling detail of all of it is none of these injuries is what caused his death. Terry's actual cause of death was strangulation. His killer had wrapped a telephone cable around his neck and just slowly, very carefully, choked the life out of him. Terry Neely had been kept alive through most of his torture. Let that set in. Limbs cut off, not fully even, some just dangling there, teeth ripped out. It is so barbaric. And there was something else. Inside the apartment where the police would later discover the actual crime scene, a single floor-length mirror was positioned in the middle of the scene. And this wasn't an accident. The investigators concluded that Terry had been forced to watch his own torture, watch it unfold, every single movement, all while he was helpless to move, helpless to escape. It was, without question, one of the most sadistic murders that the Phoenix police had ever seen. So with Terry's identity confirmed, the investigators now scrambled to piece together what had happened to him in those missing days. Who would want to harm Terry Neely, a man who by all accounts had no enemies? And their search, it led them to Angela Simpson. At 33 years old, Angela was not new to the police. She'd been in trouble before. Her record included theft, aggravated assault, robbery. She was also known in the area as a sex worker and a drug user. And she ran with a pretty rough crowd and had a history of violent behavior. But what no one realized was just how far her violence could go. When police started tracing Terry's last known movements, Angela's name came up very quickly. Witnesses saw Terry with Angela shortly before his disappearance. According to some, Angela promised Terry drugs and possibly even sex, whatever it took to get him to go over to her apartment. And he went willingly. When police raided Angela's apartment, they found a crime scene that was hard to believe. The apartment itself was stripped down. The carpet had been removed. There was very little furniture. Not much in there that seemed like anybody was living in the apartment, but there was blood. There was blood everywhere. Blood in the bathroom, blood in the living room, blood on the walls of the hallway. And under ultraviolet light, the apartment just kind of lit up like something out of a horror movie. It was unbelievable. The detectives also found the tools that Angela had used. Pliers, a hammer, a tire iron, a coax cable, nails, bleach. Angela had tried to clean up, but the attempt, it was kind of half-hearted. There was still blood and a mess everywhere. And it seemed like she didn't even care if she was caught. Forensic testing also confirmed that all of that blood, it belonged to Terry. Further complicating matters was Angela's known associate, Edward Cracker McFarland. And Terry's wheelchair was found near Edward's apartment. So police had suspected that Edward had helped Angela in some capacity, perhaps with the disposal of the body, something to that effect. And witnesses later claimed that Edward had even bragged about helping get rid of Terry's body, and then threatened anyone who might talk, anyone who might flip on him. So they had pieced together what happened to Terry, who was responsible. The big question was why, and they needed to get the confession. And when police questioned Angela, she kind of surprised everyone. She confessed immediately. Not with tears, not with remorse, but Angela confessed with a smile. And she told them everything.
Wow. I killed Terry.
How and why?
I killed Terry by deceptively luring him to apartment 201, sitting him down and beating him with various objects until he was unconscious, and then I slit his throat.
Angela didn't just admit to the killing. She reveled in it. She sat calmly as she explained in chilling detail exactly how she murdered Terry Neely. She described how she lured him to her apartment under false promises of sex and drugs, how she tied him up, how she spent 3 straight days torturing him. And when the investigators asked her, okay, why? Her answer was blunt, to the point. Because according to Angela, Terry was a snitch. She claimed that Terry had bragged to her about informing on other inmates during a previous stint in jail. And she said that in her world, her moral code was that being a snitch was the worst thing that a person could be. And for that, Terry Neely, in Angela's mind, deserved to die.
Why? Because Terry told me that he was an informant. That's it.
Who was he working for?
He said that he met with the DA periodically, still, regarding cases that are, 10 to 16 years old. Crazy.
And guys, the details that Angela admits to, like I said, it is barbaric. It is unhinged. I don't even know the right word to use. It's disgusting, that's for sure. Because Angela explained with zero emotion how she lured Terry to her apartment, tied him up, tortured him for 3 days straight, and she just described this entire process in very calm, almost instructional detail. How she stabbed him, how she used the pliers to pull out his teeth, how she hammered that nail into his head, and finally, how she strangled him with that coax cable. She then rolled his body out in a trash can, dumped it behind a church, then set it on fire. And then she actually says how she had the nerve to take his automated wheelchair for a joyride. I mean, absolutely horrifying. But Angela was proud. She was more than happy to laugh it all off. She confessed all of this while just having a smile on her face and happily eating a candy bar. Like it was just a casual, conversation that she's just going to chief down a Snickers while she retells this horrific scene.
I told him upstairs, when I do, because that's what he kept asking me to do, would you please? Oh, yeah.
Is that what he thought he was going to get?
Exactly. That's why I deceptively lured him up there.
And you walked up the stairs with you?
Yeah.
I was going to go a little something.
Yeah. Shady. And I asked him about his snitching. And did you really do these things? Did you say these things? Did you go to court for? Are you still going to court for? There's how many other that you're going to snitch on that you're planning on? And he told me everything, and I proceeded to beat him to death.
With the tire iron?
Tire iron, a stick, a hammer. Yes, I did have my hammer.
So how long did the beating take place?
How long?
Yeah.
I swear to God, I cannot tell you that. From the way I felt the next day, probably at least an hour. Before he was unconscious, I had taken a mirror from the other bedroom into the bedroom with him where he was at and shown him. I wiped up his eyes so he could see he's bleeding extensively. And I had him look at himself for a couple of minutes.
Where'd you do that?
Because I wanted him to see what it was that he was.
And what was that?
A traitor.
Because he was snitching?
Because he was snitching on his own people. Snitching, yes, because he was a traitor, basically.
A nail.
A nail hammered into his head? That would be insane. That's your 3-inch nail thing?
Did you do that?
Nail in my head from my creator.
So what's the significance of that?
I just told you.
Again, the nail in my head from my creator. What does that mean to you?
It's a song.
Educate me here. So why the nail in the head?
It's not in the head in the song, actually. I don't know. I did use a hammer, my favorite hammer, actually. It was already kind of distorted from previous to break him. It's cracked up pretty easy. You know how it is. I drug him to the bathroom before I left.
This is after you get his drunk.
Yeah. And drove him to the bathroom, went to get some funds, celebrate, went back up, cut his legs off.
What did you use?
I used a long knife. I started actually with a paring knife,
Did you find anything unique with his
I
legs?
did. I most certainly did. Quite unique.
What did you find?
Little, like, metal pieces inside of his knee. They were quite exquisite, kind of like the old phone line poles. And they were blue. But yeah, it was quite unique.
Okay.
Kind of hard to, but it worked out. I just kind of do the outside, like, perforation, step on the top, crack. I kind of like the whole hands-on twist-off thing.
So you took 2.5 days to cut him off, or did you 3.5?
3.5.
So Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
I was very high just on the act alone, dude. I believe it was 3 days I spent with him, possibly.
So nobody saw you?
Nobody had nothing to do with that but me. Bagged him up. I left a wing and a thigh in a trash can somewhere. I'm not sure which one, where, or why, but...
What do you mean a wing?
A wing and a thigh. I left something of him somewhere else. I put it in the dumpster. He's still pretty stuck. It's pretty heavy. I think I did throw a foot in there.
So whatever limb you threw in there.
Yes, whatever's missing from where you found the snitch is in the dumpster.
So you got his torso in the dumpster.
Yeah.
What color was the garbage?
Green.
And you got that from down.
I'm going to recycle a snitch.
Did you wrap it, or was it just ice?
I covered it.
With what?
A blanket.
And put it in the trunk.
Put it in the trunk and then covered it with a blanket. It was much easier to flip the bitch out, strike a match, and ride on.
You lit the match, start on fire?
And drove off.
Well, how'd the wheelchair get in?
I drove it.
Like you're sitting on it?
Sat on it and rode it down the street. Took me a minute, too, as smart as I think I am. God damn.
Took a while to figure out how it goes?
Couldn't figure out how it goes.
You going Mach 2 or what?
Oh, my God. Like I was driving a stick shift. Tried to steal a stick shift, one big mistake. Do I look like I've cut up other people? Come on, that's ridiculous.
It's very possible.
It's quite possible. I do some dumb. Actually, it could have been filled with cats.
Well, have you killed cats?
Yeah.
Why? Just curious.
Oh, what, are you going to charge me with this too? I couldn't even tell you, dude. Probably 200.
You think that I could have couple hundred?
In my lifetime? Probably.
Any other animals?
Dogs.
Really?
Never got an elk, though. I love an elk. I heard they're huge.
When did you first start killing animals?
I don't know. Probably 6.
When you're 6 years old?
Probably. What? No, I'm going to start lying now, dude. What the? Why did you ask me about cats?
Because there's dead cats in the area.
Shut up, dude.
Serious.
That's the only reason. You thought I might have something to do with some dead cats in the area?
It's a hunch.
Well, you know, pussies die. Whatever. Thank you.
A year later, Angela did an interview from jail, and safe to say, she still wasn't showing any remorse. She didn't even pretend to feel guilty. In fact, she seemed proud of what she had done.
I heard they said I was possessed by the devil. I think that's hilarious. Isn't that beautiful?
The media says you did some pretty heinous things. Does that bug you?
Does it bug me? What people say? No. My give a is broke. I really don't. I have no concern for what people think.
What did you do that you would consider torture?
Ripped his teeth out. That's my favorite.
How'd you do that?
With some needle nose pliers. Kind of rip, you know.
What made you think of that,
What made me think of it?
to do that?
Prior tooth pain. Pretty agonizing, yeah. I thought maybe I could distribute that. Anything I can do to help put a snitch down is my pleasure.
So it was your pleasure when you committed this murder?
See, that's kind of up. I'm thinking, I don't know what my lawyer would say if I answered that straight out. Hold on, yes. Yes, it was. But, yeah. It's pretty rewarding work. It's great for the soul.
What were you trying to get out of it?
He thought it was funny that the people he had snitched on would never get out of prison, so I wanted him to know how funny it was that they didn't need to.
Is it hard to chop up a human body?
Nah, not really. You'd be amazed. It's quite simple, actually. You should try it. It's only a felony 6. Knock it down to a misdemeanor. Dismemberment is a really low charge. Chomos are definitely beyond any doubt the worst and most vile creatures on the planet. Yes. Snitches then would come in second, and cops would be third. Yeah.
How about people who murder other people?
What about them?
Where do they fall
And where?
in your hierarchy?
Of badness? They don't. You want to throw murderers in with cops and chomos? Are you serious? You're kidding, right? You can't put murderers in a category with f***ed up people. That doesn't make any sense. Rest assured, if somebody killed it, they had a reason to do it. You need to be looking at the dead motherfucker, not the motherfucker that killed it.
Do you have any guilt about any of that stuff?
Guilt, yes. I'm overrun with remorse.
In 2012, Angela did yet another interview, and that has recently gone viral for all the wrong reasons. And when the reporter asked her why, she didn't hesitate. She said she did it because he was a snitch, and she also said she would do it again. She described every gruesome detail with this kind of casual detachment that was almost more terrifying than any of the graphic description of violence that had taken place. Just how cavalier she was, how calm she was. She talked about Terry's murder like somebody would describe making a freaking turkey sandwich. She even said that the only thing that she regretted was not holding him captive and torturing him longer. Let that sink in. The only thing she regrets about this whole thing is that she did not torture him longer.
I took him to my house, walked him down the street. I don't know why the media acts like the motherfucker couldn't walk. He walked very well. Walked him upstairs, kicked his ass, and killed him.
To spend 3 days driving nails into a guy's head and pulling his teeth out.
Right.
Why?
I found it necessary.
Did you find it pleasurable or exciting, or was this just
necessary?
Necessary.
Right.
So this was more like a business-like proposition. You were doing something that you felt a job that needed to be done.
Right.
Really?
Right.
You don't meet many people who are willing to say, I did it, and you know what? Deal with it.
Right. That's the way it should be, in my opinion.
Are you? But you seem so. You seem like you're sort of just. I'm sort of almost self-righteous about. I did this, and I did. Do you think you did the right thing by killing this guy?
Definitely.
Other than shooting his mouth off, what else did he do that you know of?
That's what he got done for. He's white trash. Somebody had to take it out. That's it.
Was there a racial component to it?
Oh, there's always a racial component.
Okay. And what do you mean by that?
I'm not going to elaborate on that at all.
Okay, but the fact that you're a black woman and he's a white guy, that factored into your killing him?
Yeah. I wouldn't kill another black individual.
Okay. Would you, if you had that moment to live over again?
I'd have kept him alive a week.
But you would have still tortured him and killed him?
Oh, I'd have tortured him for a week, yeah, instead of 3 days. Definitely.
So your only regret is that the torture didn't go on any longer?
Right, and I regret not killing my other victim. I should have killed him, too. I just didn't have time. I had to go somewhere.
And tell me who that other victim was.
Joseph Van Tress for the armed robbery.
You don't regret killing this guy?
I don't regret killing him, no. I regret the fact that my co-defendants found it necessary to divulge so much information to the detectives. I regret that. They were people I really cared about. And I regret that they were near me or around me at any point.
And then helped prosecutors?
Helped the prosecution, correct.
You aggravated those people?
Definitely, because they didn't know, they weren't actually with me during any of my crimes. So for them to say that they were, to try to get lesser sentences, was a little heartbreaking for me.
So friends of yours lied to prosecutors and lied to police?
Correct.
Dropped the dime on you?
Correct.
They snitched on you?
Correct.
And here's where it gets even darker. There's no official record, none, that confirms that Terry was an informant. Not one shred of paperwork supports Angela's claims. So either she got some wildly incorrect information, or, what's more likely in my opinion, She just created a justification in her own mind to carry out something that she wanted to do. And part of the reason I say that is because she just doesn't seem fazed by the fact that he even didn't turn out to be a snitch. All she can say to it is like, oops, my bad, I got it wrong.
Do you believe him? Do you think he really was a snitch?
Oops, if he wasn't.
That's the chilling part in all of this. I mean, was this some twisted form of street justice in her mind? Or was it just pure psychopathy, hiding behind an excuse? Angela's demeanor during these interviews is almost more disturbing than the crime itself. She's smiling, she's joking. She told the reporter that she can't even pretend to be remorseful. In fact, her biggest disappointment was that more women don't commit crimes like this one.
You're very upfront.
Pretty much.
About talking about this killing.
Right.
You murdered this man.
Yes.
You tortured him.
Of course.
There is no ambiguity, and there is nothing you want to... In court today, you said you're not here to pretend to be remorseful.
Of course not. Why would I do that?
Are you remorseful?
Not at all.
Why?
Why would I be?
First of all, women generally don't commit crimes this heinous.
Right.
This is usually the domain of men.
That's unfortunate.
You think more women...
Oh, yeah, equal opportunity, definitely.
And here's the thing. Angela Simpson never tried to hide behind excuses. She acknowledged her history of mental illness. She admitted that she has struggled with it since she was just 10 years old, but she didn't use that as a defense. In fact, she said she didn't expect sympathy and she didn't want any. She wasn't interested in therapy. She didn't want freedom. What she wanted was control over her own narrative. Angela wanted people to know exactly what she did and why.
You don't want to talk about your past, but your lawyer said that, you know what, in sentencing you, the judge should bear in mind that you've had a really
Right.
tough life.
I started being hospitalized at 10 years old. I have a mental history from 10 years old until present, so yeah.
When you say mental history, I mean, do you care that anyone feels sorry for you? Do you want anybody?
Feel sorry for me?
Yeah. Should the people who are watching this say because she had a bad childhood,
Of course not.
because she has mental illness,
Of course not, no.
that we should feel some sympathy for you?
No.
You would not have that.
I want no sympathy, no.
What then? Do you care what anybody thinks about Angela Simpson and what you have done?
I don't.
It's again your candor. I've interviewed people who have committed murders before, and usually they sort of prevaricate or they this or that. You're about as direct as it gets.
Right.
Why is that?
It's only fair. I expect you to be the same way.
Okay.
Eventually, Angela pleaded guilty to first-degree murder, kidnapping, and abuse of a corpse, and she was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. So you might be wondering, okay, now that she got this murder out of her system, something that arguably it seems like she wanted to do, she got this so-called snitch who didn't even turn out to be a snitch off the streets, is she done? Has she learned her lesson? Or is she so psychopathic that she's bound to do this again? Well, Angela can answer that question herself.
Will you kill again?
If the opportunity arises, I hope so.
And honestly, Angela didn't even seem bothered by the prospect of spending the rest of her life behind bars. In her own words, most of her family was already in prison. She even said she deserved the death penalty, but not out of remorse. In her mind, death would have been justice.
Do you think that it was fair today? It was justice in that courtroom?
No, I don't.
Why?
I should have gotten the death penalty.
Did you want the death penalty?
No, I'd prefer to spend my life with my sisters, but yeah, I do believe that would have been justice.
And here's something you might not expect. Angela Simpson's bone-chilling interviews actually inspired something in pop culture. Specifically, her bizarre, remorseless attitude, it caught the attention of Phoebe Waller-Bridge, the creator of the Sandra Oh show Killing Eve. And according to Waller-Bridge, she, quote, fell into a Google hole around female assassins. And when she did that, she stumbled across Angela's interview footage. And she said Angela sounded, quote, more like a psycho than anyone ever has. So that persona, that cold, unapologetic killer who takes pride in what she has done, became the foundation for the character in the main character Hitwoman in Killing Eve. So Angela didn't just shock law enforcement and true crime followers, she literally helped shape one of TV's most famous recent female villains. In a way, this whole case is open and shut. Angela admitted to everything. There was physical evidence. There was motive, at least, in her mind. But here's where it gets complicated. Not everyone believes Angela's story. At least, not the whole story. Online, there's a growing number of people who think that the Angela Simpson case is not as simple as it seems. On Reddit, in true crime forums, all over the place, people have been picking apart this case for years. And some of their theories? They raise some real questions. For starters, what about that guy, Edward Cracker McFarland? Angela insisted he wasn't involved in the actual killing, but Edward pleaded out to lesser charges, receiving over 20 years for concealing a dead body and hindering prosecution. Yet there's almost no media coverage about him, nothing about his role or whether he might have had a hand in Terry's death, and some people speculate that Angela took the fall for both of them or was manipulated into doing so. Others suggest that Edward wasn't just Angela's friend. Some believe he was her pimp, controlling her and possibly directing her actions.
Did you act completely alone in that
Yes,
part?
definitely.
So nobody else helped?
No. Totally alone.
And then there's the inconsistencies in Angela's own statements. In some interviews, she claims that Terry was her only victim, but in others, she refuses to answer that question or goes completely silent. And in yet another, she also says that she has killed other so-called snitches before. So could Angela Simpson be responsible for other unsolved crimes? Could there be more victims that we don't even know about?
Have you killed other
No, I've never killed anyone else.
So that was something to talk.
Right.
Well, have you cut up anybody else?
No.
This is your first person?
I think we have enough. Have we not enough?
Angela, is this the first time you've done this?
No,
It's not the first time. What else have you done?
that's not.
But you've killed other people?
Well, they'll find that out.
Will you admit that you've killed other people?
Well, yes,
You've killed other people. How many?
that's irrelevant.
Why did you kill them?
Same reason.
And what about Terry Neely himself? There is virtually no coverage about Terry's life, how he ended up in that assisted care facility, or who he really was. There are no interviews with people who knew him. Some people online speculate that this lack of information is intentional, that Terry's past may not have been as clean as the official story suggests. Then there's the backdrop of Maricopa County itself. Now, this happened under Sheriff Joe's reign, and I will say this, he is a sheriff who is allegedly notorious for corruption and mishandling cases. The Maricopa County Sheriff's Office apparently has a reputation for rushing cases to closure. So could police have closed the Angela Simpson case too quickly, accepting her confession just at face value without digging any deeper? And finally, there's the theory that Angela's entire persona, the remorseless killer, the woman who laughs about murder, all of it, that it's all an act. Because in prison, reputation matters. So some believe that Angela carefully crafted her image to gain respect under the prison, convict code, code of ethics among prisoners. By portraying herself as this heartless, remorseless killer, she kind of secured her own status. After all, in one interview, she literally asked for a list of snitches so that she could target them from behind bars. So some think her interviews weren't confessions at all, but they were more like advertisements.
I mean, lots of people go around claiming I'm a snitch or make themselves...
Really, you don't say.
Well, I think they talk about law. I know people coming. I've got associations with law enforcement. I've got this. I'm a friend with this.
Do you happen to have a list of those people?
They name drop. Well, maybe in the circle, but you
Right.
know what I'm saying.
Right.
People say lots of things to make themselves sort of look.
Well, he picked the wrong names to say that to.
Of course, none of these theories are proven. Maybe Angela acted alone, maybe she told the full truth, or maybe the real story is darker than we will ever know. What happens when someone decides they're judge, jury, and executioner in their own twisted version of justice? And what happens when they don't care who disagrees? In Angela Simpson's mind, this wasn't murder, it was punishment. And according to her, she would do it again. It is deeply unnerving, and I know a lot of that footage was probably very unpleasant to hear and to watch, so I appreciate you sticking through, but this is one that really affected me when I saw it. And I was like, I know I need to jump on here and talk with you guys about this because I am still like trying to wrap my brain around it and reeling from this, especially because there is still so much conflict out there and controversy about what the real story is. So I'm curious to know what you guys think. Please sound off in the comments and let me know, like, was she just a cold, calculated murderer? Was this all an excuse? Did she truly in her mind believe he was an informant? Was it all an act? Like, to torture someone for 3 days in that kind of way, dismembering them, pulling their teeth out one by one, that is very calculated, and that takes a certain kind of evil. And don't forget, she said that she wished she had more than those 3 days to do it, that she wished that she had prolonged it. Like, it is sending a shiver down my whole body. It really is. So let me know what you guys think, and thank you for tuning in to another episode. As a quick reminder, guys, too, open up that podcast app, follow 10 to Life now. We are launching October 7th via podcast, so you can hear all of this wherever you are, no matter the time of day, the driving situation, whatever it is. So again, 10 to Life, wherever you get your podcasts. Take a quick second, like, subscribe, share this video, comment again with your thoughts, and I will see you on the next one. Until the next case, please stay safe. Bye.